Hey beautiful, it is day 5 of the challenge and I am giving you 2 tips in one today because I already had a topic planned. I was planning to talk to you a little bit about sugar, but I know I asked a lot of you in the beginning before we started the program what some of the common habits that you were trying to instill and having trouble around what those were, and a lot of you talked about snacking. So I think that these two things can go hand in hand a bit. So I'm going to do my best to give you guidance around both. And again, I saved nutrition for the back end of this challenge because I wanted you to get clear on your mindset. I wanted you to get your body in motion. I wanted you to stay hydrated because these are all like really simple things that you can do for yourself that may not be easy, but take some conscious effort at the beginning. So now hopefully you've done those, you're feeling really good, maybe you're compiling the habits on top of each other, and now let's talk about nutrition and how to fill your body up with the good stuff. So sugar is a big one. I personally love chocolate, like I get it. A lot of us have sweet tooths, but I think it's very important to be mindful of the amount of sugar that you're consuming in a day. And sources of sugar. So if you're used to eating packaged and processed foods, it can be really tough to identify the sugar content that's actually in them. And reason being is the FDA is pretty unregulated, not sure if I said that correctly, unregulated, when it comes to what they include in the ingredient listing and what they legally have to identify in amount of sugar on the nutrition label. So as a rule of thumb, 4 grams of sugar is the equivalent of 1 teaspoon. So I want you to think about that next time you look at a serving size, especially in flavored beverages or flavored yogurts, or even condiments, like sauces, places you might not think that there are a lot of sugar in naturally, like from a common sense perspective. You may be floored when you look at the amount of sugar. So again, 4 grams of sugar is the equivalent of 1 teaspoon. And as another general rule of thumb, women want to be taking in, according to dietary guidelines, no more than about 24-ish grams of added sugar. So AKA not from a natural source like fruit or honey or maple syrup or things like that. No more than 24 grams of added sugar in a day, which means no more than 6 teaspoons of sugar. So if you're putting sugar in your coffee, if you're adding sugar to your oatmeal, if you are I don't know, like making a lot of baked goods with sugar, it's really important to think about it and take a moment and reflect on what you're choosing to put in your body. As I mentioned during the hydration challenge, sugar can deplete your hydration level. It can also throw your hormones and your blood sugar completely out of balance. And, just as a guideline, your goal in a given day is to keep your blood sugar in a state of balance and equilibrium. And obviously as you eat and as your body digests, that's going to have a little gentle wave. But when you eat things that are truly like refined sugar, like candy or a donut or a cookie, it's going to allow your blood sugar to spike dramatically and then crash immediately because there's no fiber or nutrition bound to that food. And again, thinking about yesterday's topic and foods that your body like easily recognizes as fuel, sugar is not necessarily one of them, but it does light up a dopamine receptor in your brain to say, hey, that tastes really good. And there's so much information out there saying that sugar is as addictive these days but always really refined sugar, which is what's happening these days in our world, as opposed to natural forms of sugar like fruit have nutrition and fiber bound to them, so they're digesting much slower in your bloodstream. So you may not feel that like crash as much, but refined sugar is like chemically, statistically, scientifically shown to be as addicting as cocaine, which is crazy. We are all eating way more than we should. So it's just something I want you to be mindful of. and go through today and look at your food labels. And I encourage a way of eating that's getting back to basics and getting back to natural sources of food like fruits and vegetables. I eat plant forward, and I'm stealing that phrase from my girl Michelle at Busy Bee because I love it. I am plant-based in a lot of my ways, but I do include animal protein, which is a topic that we're not talking about today. But eating as much food in its natural state that comes from the ground, that is not made in a plant or packaged in a factory with any added ingredients, is the optimal goal. So when you're doing that, you're not eating as much refined or added sugar. But be mindful, look at your food labels. Anything ending with like an OS, an OSE, or an ACE, or even things like brown rice sugar, molasses, like these are all forms of sugar. And when you look at your ingredient label, the ingredients that are listed in the beginning of the label are what are highest quantity in regards to the makeup of the food. So I'm throwing a lot of nuggets of wisdom your way today. So think about that when you go to buy something packaged. That's the first thing I look at is the sugar content, and look at serving sizes. So if there is maybe 8 grams of sugar in, I don't know, like a drink that you want to have, but the serving size is 3 and you drink the whole bottle, that's actually 24 grams of sugar, which is your full recommended intake of added sugar for the day. So think about that. Another thing, and excuse me, I'm going to take some water. Speaking of hydration, because I always keep it real with you, right? Why not? This is life. Is snacking, which I know was a big thing, a common theme that came up in the comments in the Facebook group. So here's my thing about snacking. It takes your body about 4 to 5 hours to fully digest, and maybe even in some cases not fully digest, but for the most part, it takes your body that long to digest food and then recognize that you're hungry again, which is why whoever in the world created your square meals, right? Your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Not everybody eats that way. Not everybody eats like robust meals and has time to sit down. So I get it. If you're eating smaller portions, this might be a different approach for you, but just take it for what it is. And I think that a lot of us, snacking is the result of a few different things. Snacking, one, can be the result of not getting enough nutrition in your meal or not eating enough food, which is why it's important to check in with yourself and see if you're still hungry. So maybe you're not getting enough nutrition, especially if you're eating processed foods. It could be that you're not eating enough. So it could be you're not getting enough nutrition, or you're not eating enough quantity-wise, or, and I think this is more common than you would like to recognize and realize, is that a lot of times we snack, and trust me, I do it too, especially when I have a busy, stressful day at work. We snack mindlessly and out of an emotional charge rather than a true hunger cue. So remember how I said when we talked about hydration that the same hormones that regulate your hunger and appetite can also regulate your thirst. So you might think you're hungry, but you're actually thirsty. So you're reaching for the snack, but it might also be a stress release, especially when you're eating salty or crunchy things. That helps your body sometimes de-stress a little bit, which is why like holding a stress ball is so helpful. It's that same motion. For some of us, it's an emotional outlet, right? When we're sad or depressed, what do so many of us reach for? Sweets, sugar, ice cream. When we're craving comfort food, for some people that's a lot of like saucier things or cheesy things. We can snack out of boredom. We can snack out of being stressed. We can snack because we don't know what to do with ourselves. We can snack, this is a big one, as a way to break up the monotony of our workday with our evening. So I know I was doing this for a while when I was really stressed out, especially last year. I would find myself coming home, and because I was so stressed with my commute and my day, immediately going to snack before I'd even say hi to Nick, before I'd even like put my bags down sometimes, before I'd go to the bathroom. If my bladder was bursting, I would have a snack, and it was just a way for me to like be in control again of my time. So that's a big one for people, especially if you are a working person, or you are going from one activity to the next to break up the day from the night. There's lots of other ways that you can approach this, and it takes conscious effort and just being aware of yourself. Sometimes, again, we are on autopilot, so we just do this mindlessly. Check in with yourself and ask yourself if you're actually truly hungry. Tomorrow in my last email, I will give you some ideas for healthier snacks that you can have, but my approach with this challenge today is, obviously we talked about sugar first and foremost, so being mindful of your sugar intake, and 2, identifying if you're actually truly hungry, or if the snack craving is 1, something that you're just psychologically used to doing, and 2, how can you break that? Are you stressed? Are you emotionally charged? Are you tired? Because a lot of times when we're tired, we crave sugar naturally to keep our body moving and energized. So think about all these things when it comes to snacking. You might not realize how often you're doing it without actually being hungry, and how much less of it you can do when you're conscious of it. So those are my tips and my hacks. Watch your sugar intake. Don't start your morning with sugar. Don't start your morning with a donut or a muffin that has no nutrition bound to it. Start your morning with some protein, like eggs or a smoothie, or oatmeal. That's going to regulate your blood sugar and keep you satiated. Whereas when you start your morning with like void nutrition and sugar, it's going to throw your blood sugar out of whack and keep you craving things, especially sugar, throughout the rest of the day. So I know there was a lot of nuggets of wisdom in this last one. It is the final day of the challenge. I am so fucking proud of you. Keep up the good work. Let me know how it goes towards the end of the day. And obviously I'm here if you have any questions. Keep the conversation going in the Facebook group. I will keep that group open. It is there for you to support each other, to ask questions, to share progress, aha moments, pictures, whatever. Sending you all the love. Great job this week. Keep up the good work and figure out how you can make this happen long term once the program is over. Love ya.